Good morning. Thank you for joining me for today's Facebook Live. My name is Tracy Helt. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia, and this is my last Facebook Live for this year. Can you believe we finally reached the end of the year? And yep, today's the last one for the year, but don't worry, I will be back next year. Now, today I feel like I'm being a little bit mean to you, but you know when you're going, I want to do this, but it's nasty. And so anyway, I've been very busy working on 2 stamp camps. So my card today is showing you products from the new January to April mini catalogue, where products will be available to be ordered from the 7th of January. And that's why I feel nasty, because I'm showing you stuff that you can't use yet. But let me show you my card, and I'm sure that you will think it's very pretty. Sorry, my mouse has just decided to hide away from me. There we go. So that's my card. It's one of these buckle cards that's going to flap up and flap up. And like I say, most things on here are new. So first of all, I'm working with the Delightful Wishes bundle, and this is held upside down because I've been very busy working with it, so my dies are messy and all over the show. Then we've got the Memorable Blooms. I've only used the sentiment from this one, but this is also a bundle, and those are going to be 2 separate stamp camps that I'm doing. So watch my blog, traceofcreativity.com. All the information on those stamp camps will be on there. And then celebrations coming, yay, isn't that the most wonderful time of the year? So this is a embossing folder that is a celebration item. Sorry if I sounded confused, it's because my brain was going, what is it called again? I think it's called Starburst. I can never remember the name of this. I think it's called Starburst, and it is an absolutely beautiful embossing folder. Then, okay, we didn't use everything new. I've used the Nested Essentials dies, and I've used, I think that this is the third smallest Countryside Corners die. Okay, then DSP. So the DSP is also new, and again, it's all over the show. This is called Beautiful Bokeh DSP. Now, I was speaking to somebody who was saying that somebody told them, or they heard or Googled or whatever, that it's supposed to be pronounced bouquet. Well, I don't know. I've always said bokeh. Don't know if anybody has any insight on that one. I suppose bouquet sounds a little bit fancy, but I've always known it as bokeh. So if I'm saying it wrong, well, that's just the way it's going to be. All right, let's get started on our card. I will put the measurements up. They aren't there yet, but they will be. This is a relatively easy card, but I just seem to keep going back to this design because I just love the look of it. So I'm changing the colors up. I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia, and I'm actually going to use that side of the paper, which is more like the actual bouquet look. The other side is a bit more blotchy, and it's got a bit of Calypso Coral, but I'm not bringing Calypso Coral into this card now, so I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia bouquet side. And we're just sticking our strip onto the insert. This is the bit that's going to be poking out when the card is closed. Now, before you stick this down, ask me why I'm warning you. You want to take your Countryside Corners die cut, and I just want to score it. There's no exact measurement here. I'm just scoring it sort of at those corner points over there. We just want a little fold that's going to fold over. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to put glue on this bit that I folded over. And then we're going to stick this, that our fold is along the edge of the card. And roughly in the middle. It doesn't have to be 100%. And so don't forget to stick this bit first, because otherwise you have a problem. And the reason for that is now going to become obvious, is that when we're sticking our insert in, we want it to actually be covering up that flap that's stuck down. Okay, so there we go. Now my buckle is in place and it was stuck at the right time, so everything's good. Now I have actually run my piece through that embossing folder, and I don't know if you can notice on this card, yeah, you probably can if I hold it up, I've put a little bit of colour on. When I had it just plain white, it was just looking a little bit stark, so we're going with add some colour here, and I'm going to decide on colours, but I think I'm going to go with Fresh Frisian. The reason that I'm saying this is that when I get to my flowers, I'm actually stamping the flowers with Highland Heather, because I'll show you on my piece of paper. It's the Fresh Freesia just didn't work. I was going to go tone on tone with the Fresh Freesia, but it just didn't work. But here, I just want that little bit of colour, and you can see I'm just going gently over, and I really just want the colour to catch those raised bits. And you know, if you really wanted to, you could go a bit darker in some places so that you've got a bit of that bokeh look. Okay, and that's all the... Now this is one of these embossing folders where it's actually, if I hold it up, hopefully we can see that, it's actually nice on both sides. You know, some of them look nicer, it kind of only works one way, but this one works both ways, so you can decide whether you want the embossed or the debossed side up. And we're just going to stick that onto there. Okay, put that aside for 1 minute. Now, here, let's just see if you can see that. So here's where I actually stamped the Fresh Freesia onto the Fresh Freesia DSP, and to me it just looked a little bit too pale. So instead of Fresh Freesia, I'm going to stamp with Highland Heather. And this stamp that I'm using here, which hopefully is going to show up much better what it is because I've already stamped it, so I know this, is the outline of the flowers. So if I grab that stamp set back again, you can see you have, when I say outline, I mean like highlighted bits. Okay, so you've got the highlighted bits, and then you've got this stamp which will fill in, so you can do the two-step stamping. But I've actually found that what I like doing is either here, like where I've stamped on the DSP, or just lightly blending colour onto a piece of white and then stamping those highlights. I maybe have to play around with it a bit and see, but I just find that it's a bit heavy when I'm doing the two-step stamping, but maybe some stamping off and a less inky ink pad will be good. Lucky it's the last day today because it feels like I can't talk. Goodness. Okay, and then that's going to cut out the flowers. Okay, now I've actually stamped 2 lots of flowers because we're using quite a lot of flowers on here. And while we're stamping, let's just see if I can stamp straight today. My sentiment is from the Memorable Blooms, so that's You've Been on My Mind. And I'm going to go with the Highland Heather as well. I know that my Highland Heather pad is probably a little bit dry. I could do with re-inking, so it doesn't come out very dark. But at the moment, I'm actually happy with that, so I haven't re-inked it, but we'll see how we go. Okay. And yeah, okay, I can be happy with that. It's straight enough for me. Alright, now with my branches, my go-to colour for branches has actually been Early Espresso, but I decided I didn't want Early Espresso branches on my Early Espresso, So what I've done is I've taken garden green, but I've actually blended, and hopefully you can actually see that color if you look at the difference between the front and the back here. I've blended some pecan pie onto the garden green before I've cut out my branches. And now we just need to play a little bit because I'm going to cut these slightly shorter. I don't want them hanging over the edges. So that one. Now again, just think about this before you stick, because you only want glue on the bits that are on that. You don't want on the bits that are hanging over, because then you're going to stick your card closed. And I know that I tend to say this often, but we don't want to stick the card closed. And I say it because I probably do it or have done it before, where you always put your dimensionals or put your glue in the wrong place, and suddenly you're going, okay, great, now what, my card's stuck closed, and it's not supposed to be doing that. Alright, so I've got one branch that's going like that, and no, we probably shouldn't have had glue over there. Okay, and then my second branch I'm going to put here. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off over here. So these branches are quite long, but obviously don't get caught up with that. You are allowed to cut them down if you need to. And again, just watch where you're putting your glue. Okay, and then my little sentiment bit's gonna go over there. So I'm gonna stick this down before I go stick flowers all over, just because that's gonna make it easier for me. And again, watch where you're putting the glue. We only want glue where it's going to be sticking onto my early espresso bit, piece, buckle, whatever we want to call it. And I want it lower than that. Goodness, okay, now maybe that does need to be a little bit higher, I thought, because otherwise there's very little touching, and we actually do want it stuck enough that it's going to stay there. Okay, now the fun part, we can do some flower arranging. So let me just pull in all my flowers that I've die cut that are now all over everywhere here. So you do get quite a lot of flowers out of each die cut. Remember, I've got double here because I cut two. One of my tiny ones is just run away from me. Okay, so now it's whatever you feel like, wherever you want those flowers to go. I've stuck that in a different, I'm trying to look here and see, what did I do here? Alright, now this one, again, this one's relatively easy because it's all sticking on, so I don't need to be too concerned about where I'm putting glue here. Let's just make sure that we keep that. On the card. What's sticking down? I may have a dot of glue there, but I'll be able to remove that later. Alright, so one of the flowers that die cuts is like sort of a bunch of 3 in 1. And I'm going to put those 3 in 1. That it's sitting over the edge, and watch where we're sticking. I think we can put a bit of glue up there. Isn't this always the fun part, deciding where things go? Sometimes I'll make a card and it's a fun fold, and I then sit and look at it for ages afterwards because I love the fold, I love the basic card, but I can't decide how I want to decorate it. Alright, now we're going to put some glue just on the ends of these branches because I want some flowers there, but like I said, we don't want to stick the card closed, so end of branches gets the flowers. And going to when they don't stick closed. I don't know why that was sticking closed, it shouldn't be. Unless that was the branch that I put glue behind, which will explain it. Alright, just because these ones are a little bit close together, I'm going to put one of these teeny tiny ones on here. And I'll put another one of the tiny ones on this branch because those are really close. And obviously you're going to have to play with your flowers because depending on how you've stuck them, or when I say them, I mean how you've stuck your branches, you're going to see which flowers work best where. There we go. I think that that's looking pretty, and I'm going to just put another one over here. We can actually put glue on the back of this flower, just because it looks a bit empty if I've got this great big branch with nothing on it over there. And I did put one down at the bottom, but maybe I'll just put another one on the side this time. It's always so hard to decide where am I putting things, but alright, so there we go, looking pretty. Now, just so that I didn't only use new stuff, I'm using some of the old bling. So this is, I don't even know what these are called. Goodness, they don't have a name on them. How good is that? I can't remember what they're called. Alright, they are in the annual catalogue, and they've got this kind of purplish sheen to them. I'll have to look and see what they were called because I don't remember, but they worked well with the Calypso Coral, and I think that they're actually even better with the Fresh Freesia, so that's good. And hey, you can never have enough bling, so I'm heaping on the bling here, up into the center of the flower. There we go, those are my flowers blinged. And I did have some of those, here we go, these pearls, and again I can't remember what they're called. I think that they're actually Calypso Coral, maybe Pretty Peacock and Petunia Pop or something, but that colour looks enough like pinky purpley to me that it's going to work with the Fresh Freesia. So we'll put just a few pearls dabbed around. And because I can, and we're over blinging everything, we're having a butterfly as well. And my butterfly can just flit over there. Alright, so there's our cards for today. Like I said, different colours gives you a bit of a different, totally different look. Actually, the Fresh Freesia is much softer, but those are fun new products. So if you like them, add them to your wish list. Remember, 7th of December is when you can order. Like I said, if you love these products, look out for my stamp camp because you'll get the one with the memorable blooms is 9 cards. You can buy the products, or you can get a class kit if you're in Australia, or you can just get the tutorial. The one with the Delightful Wishes is a product-based class, so that's only in Australia. There you need to buy the suite, and you will then get the kit to make 13 cards, and we have a Facebook Live event where we do 13 bonus projects, so that gives you lots and lots of inspiration. I hope that you'll join us for some of those. Now, have a great new year. If you're doing anything exciting, stay safe, drive carefully. We're actually going to go into the city and see the fireworks, so that's going to be exciting. I love fireworks, and we haven't done it for a while since COVID, so I'm going to enjoy that. Stay safe, keep crafting, and it sounds ridiculous, but I will see you again next year. Until then, have a good week. Bye.